Welcome, 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 dear Cancer. That's you over there. This is Tarot Lumination with your June 2018 Love and Relationship Mini Generic Report. If it's not working for you, obviously, if you've got three different, watch your sun, moon, and rising, the big principles, and then retell the whole story, and it might make more sense. Okay? So we're going to do, you've probably been here before. If not, I'll just tell you, we're going to work with a crucible spread from Tarot Illumination. And the whole idea is it's on the understanding that there's you, dear Cancer, there's a significant other, and then there's a third entity itself, which is the relationship, which has its own identity, its own structure, just like another person almost. And it has a mission, a purpose, and a way of being, just like you, just like they do. Also, for singles, if you really want to watch this, you can, but you've got to allow for the laws of attraction, and that the universe is kind of like a mirror, because you're putting out energy whether you like it or know it or not. You're transmitting energy. And then the question is, what comes back at you? Okay? So, help yourselves if you want to do that. Before I get into it, I'm going to give you a few notes. It's for extra spice and just to add a little bit of color to the reading. I've been doing it with all the other reports for this month, so we might as well just keep going for you too, Cancer. Now, the thing is, you're probably aware right now that Gemini season for you is kind of like 12th house energy, which can feel sometimes like a really big downer, where like everything is coming to an unwinding, like it's like losing power just before things come back into power on your birthday season, when the sun moves into Cancer, and especially when it moves directly on your sun. So anytime for about 3 or 4 weeks before your actual day, things can feel a bit down. So you might be heading into that phase right now, the Gemini season. Now, next thing I want to point out, these are just generic dates that I cherry-picked for my own information, because I have to track these things for my own journey as a human being, and I'm just sharing this with you. So I'll go through it a little bit. I'll point out some things. Number one, May 30th, June 1st, and June 2nd. Around those times, we have a big, fat, grand water trine, okay? Pisces, Scorpio, Cancer. Followed on very quickly by a big, grand kite with water, again, that includes the Cancer-Capricorn axis, sextiled, which adds a lot of juice and awareness. It's very fortuitous for attaining harmony and understanding what constitutes that harmony. So please take full advantage of this in the early parts of the month, dear Cancer, no matter what Gemini sun is doing and all of that stuff. Next, we're going to move through hard squares, Gemini, Pisces. Let's keep going. We've got some big T squares coming over here with Leo and Aquarius and Taurus, and more T squares with oppositions going on with Leo and Aquarius and Leo. There is going to be a bit of a flavor with the Cancer Capricorn thing, and this is going to be going on for days and days, on and off, depending on where the planets are. Over here, towards the end, 21st and so, we've got some really strong T-squares between Aquarius and Leo and Scorpio in the middle. And also, later on, we have really big, fat T-squares, including what looks to me like more or less a huge grand square. Extreme stressful alignments, maximum stress alignments with the fixed signs. Scorpio, Taurus, Leo, and Aquarius. Again, not a direct hit on you, but still a very stressful alignment for the whole world. It needs to be acknowledged and understood. Okay, the next thing that is not here, I'll just put this up for you. Sorry, excuse me. Towards the end of the month is when we start getting into Cancer season anyway, but it's under the surface of the Cancer sun. There's still a lot of choppy energy going on here. This is very, very challenging energy. Now, another thing I want to mention is that Pluto is in Capricorn and Saturn is in Capricorn, your opposing sign, okay? So that can in some ways be putting a tremendous amount of stress on you in your relationship dynamics in terms of the reality checks. What's actually going on here, and the deep transformation of whatever is not working, taking everything into very slowly into what works and learning possibly the hard way. Saturn being the taskmaster and all that. Now simultaneously excuse me, during June, there are going to be multiple planets moving through the Cancer sign, opposing all the Capricorn energy. So there's on and off, on and off, on and off. There's going to be quite a lot of Cancer Capricorn oppositions. So you might feel that you're being targeted in terms of love and relationship in ways that might not be very comfortable. Okay. However, if you are a lion and things are going well, you could actually learn a tremendous amount from that. Okay. It just depends on how you vibrate, where you are in your spiritual path, and so on. So there's a lot going on in June, and it can be, in some ways, quite difficult to navigate. Let's just put it that way. A lot of multiple layers. All the planets are really, really spread out all around the solar system right now, and so they're all expressing very openly without any, without too much interference from each other. So that can add to the energy. All right. Now cards are well shuffled in advance, and I just like to go to the last second so that you're a witness, and then we're going to go for it. Sorry the introduction took so long, but that's what seems to be happening right now with the June season. I really needed to get it out there. I told you it's just a little bit of spice and color and like an appetizer for the reading, but it's actually quite serious, okay? Some serious stuff going on there. I'm sorry I don't do spectacular, glossy presentations with all this stuff, but you can do the replays and rewinds and catch some of the basic data. All right, here we go. Let's just split it up big time. Give ourselves plenty of room here. All right. So this would be you, dear Cancer, radiating love and relationship energy, which you do anyway, whether you like it or not, know it or not. Over here, the energy of a significant other. Now, if you're single, you can still watch this, allowing for the laws of attraction. And then what is the universe reflecting back to you? That's your choice, dear viewer. Over here, going deep inside of you to the heart and soul level. Over here, deep inside to the heart and soul level of another. And over here to the core itself, the relationship itself, the third entity. So there is the crucible. This is a structure. The crucible is a powerful structure that allows both parties to intimate and separate in the context of a relationship without having to everything explode or go bust when everything goes slightly wrong. Okay, so over here, prospects, momentum. Think of it as a flow, constantly in flow, pulsing, like the waves of the ocean on the shore. We're going to look at circumstantial energy here. That's what's around you. Remember, this reading is for you, Cancer. It's not for them. It's not a couple's reading. It's all about you, and we are factoring their presence in the relationship. So you have the Chariot here. So this looks, for me, I get the impression that circumstantially this is a tremendous time for you to really get your act together, really come to grips with all these energies that are out there and figure out exactly who am I, exactly what am I doing, and how am I actually going to do this? How am I going to take charge? When am I going to take charge? And not only that, it's like the determination and declaration to take charge. In other words, you know what? I don't care what anyone else thinks, however things are going. I'm a very deeply loving person, and it's time to take charge of the situation. In other words, you cannot afford to be just thrown around by the waves. It's time for you to take ownership and take charge of that. That's what the circumstances and energies are telling you, and you have the ability to do that. It's at your disposal. Okay? I'm going to go back to this. I'm unexpectedly going back to this. I just wanted to do this really slowly for you so that you can see it, but there's a point I'm coming to in a moment where I don't have it marked on here, but let me just check. Well, I'm not even going to tell the dates, but all of those, you could think of those as like rip currents underneath the waves, like waves underneath the waves, currents underneath the waves. So everything might look one way from the top, but the deeper you go and the bigger the waves, the more challenging. And this is big wave surfing, okay? This energy here is an indication that you're kind of in deep water here, and it's very important that you take charge, take control, take ownership, and literally like own the situation, own the relationship dynamics, not in a selfish way, not like you're trying to control them or anything like that, but just take full ownership of yourself so that you can be your best possible self in a deeply loving relationship. Okay? It's very important. Love thyself. Love thyself. Love thyself, dear Cancer. That's the best thing you can do for them and the relationship. Let's have a look. What's going on? Okay, well, it looks like this is exactly what you're doing. So this to me represents that you are expressing your maximum capacities right now in terms of emotional, loving abilities to. I'm not talking about like a gushing kind of gooey romantic stuff, but genuinely, deeply loving type of energy that you are radiating. And I think it's what's happening is that the challenges, all these challenges here, are actually bringing out the very best in you. In other words, it's almost like the tougher it gets. What is it like when the going gets tough, the tough get going? And that's what I'm seeing here with you, Cancer, is that you are really coming into your strength, into your power, into your integrity here, where you are recognized to have this deep integrity of heart and soul and love energy, and you can share that no matter what the challenges are, no matter how turbulent things might be, no matter how treacherous things might be in the emotional waters and flows and currents of a loving relationship. You can handle it. And not only that, it is your job to handle it. People are counting on you, a significant other, perhaps the fates, perhaps angels, whatever it is. By the way, please surround yourself with angels right now. I try to do Tarot Illumination as a group thing with Tarot Illumination angels present for you. So let's make a team effort out of it, okay? Now let's have a look at the significant other. Okay, so it's very lucky for them that you are keeping your act together, dear Cancer, because you might be dealing with someone who's getting closer and closer to basically all of this stuff. It's like this isn't even below the surface anymore. These are like all the stresses and anxieties that might have been percolating inside of them. They might have been carrying stresses like this for a long time, and it's coming to the surface. It's very, very evident in their own life, in their own world, that there are a lot of deeply buried issues that are now fully evident on the surface. And they might be doing a very courageous job of handling that because they've got you. It's almost like they know that you have got your act together. They know that you're going to keep your act together. They know that you're a deeply loving, caring, responsible person who is totally there for them, totally there for the relationship. It's not a simple relationship at all. It's a very profound relationship that I feel here with that Chariots card circumstantially. And it's very important for them because to me it feels like this is a chance for them to basically, I don't want to say lean on you, but it's incredible for them that they have you here because it looks to me like they're almost at a point of desperation where they need you. They need you to be this person and to maintain yourself at this level of integrity and mastery and self-respect, deeply, deeply loving yourself, living by example of what it's like to be in a loving relationship, someone who loves responsibly. In other words, they're not freaking out about you freaking out about whatever it is you're freaking out. That's not their concern at all. Their only concern is they're maintaining the love and the integrity in themselves so that they can be there for you as you go through whatever it is that's wigging you out completely here. It could be multiple layers. You could be there. This person over here could be really coming unglued in all sorts of ways, shapes, or form that are coming to the surface as either quirks or stresses or incidents or anxieties that are just coming out in some way or another. whatever it is, stresses, breakdowns, sleeplessness. Uh, for them, it could be external or internal. It doesn't even matter what it is. It's just that the stress is there and it's right there and it's very evident. And this is definitely not a problem for you, Cancer. It's almost like this is your chance to shine. Okay, let's have a look. Let's go deeper inside. Okay, this is just gorgeous, Cancer. Like being a true lover, someone who is truly loving. I feel that with the King of Pentacles here, you're doing a great job of bringing all your gifts and talents and resources into the relationship. You're bringing everything that you have in its fullest and greatest integrity, including very high things that really count in relationships, the things that really count, and not having the fanciest car or whatever it is, but more about the generosity, the kindness, the patience, the endurance, the stability, the courage, the investment strategy, the boldness, the integrity, all of those things, the ability to be a really good listener, the ability to be very strong for them while they go through all of this. That's love is as love does. That's evidence of love to the highest degree. And you've got that inside of you. You're radiating that from the soul, and you're being this in your day-to-day. So this is really good. Okay, forget the gender. It's a guy, this is a guy, this looks like a girl, and so what? It's just that this is very strong, loving, caring energy that is coming out of you right now, dear Cancer. Maybe it's being triggered and stimulated. You know how some people are triggered by distress and that brings out the best in them? Like you, Cancer, might be really shining truly in your element now, having discovered that you're with someone who is under extreme duress right now for whatever reason. It doesn't even matter. There's no judgment there. There's no blaming. There's no like, oh my gosh, it's no wonder you're so messed up. It's because of blah, blah, blah. No, none of that's going on. You're just holding to your own, being your best self for them. Unconditional, total unconditional love here, Cancer, coming from you for a significant other here who's having a hard time. Let's have a look deep inside of them. And I think they know that. I think deep down they sense very much that, I mean, it sounds kind of bizarre, but they sense that they are an inspiration to you and for you. And that it's almost like you know how Cancerians tend to be very compassionate, very caring. They like to rescue victims. You know, I'm not trying to paint this person as a victim, but it's like you are really good at this stuff, Cancer, where if you're with someone who has all the characteristics of someone who is almost completely at the mercy of another, who really needs to be loved, adored, rescued, nurtured, cared for, respected, valued for who they really are, because deep down they are this. They have all this. And the thing is, it feels to me that you, Cancer, you know that. You sense that at the deep soul level. It's just that in their day-to-day waking life, it's a very different story. So I think that you, Cancer, are dealing with someone who is in some ways very traumatized. Somehow, some way, very traumatized. And it's coming out. The trauma is coming out here. And that kind of, it's like, aha, I'm in my element. You know, it's almost like, you know, how, I know that's probably more like a Scorpio thing, but for you, Cancer, like, it's almost like this is juicy stuff for you to be able to nurture and care and love at this level with someone who is essentially so traumatized, but deep down they have this glowing, radiant, magnificent soul that is very inspiring. and you sense it and you know that, and that's like a huge turn on for you. It's like, I mean, please don't take this personally, Cancer, and don't have to show this to anybody, but it's almost like a pet rescue thing where you accidentally spotted or you deliberately went in, but you stumbled upon a creature, a human, happens to be a human being, who's just a beautiful creature inside, who is in their normal, good, radiant self, a very noble, inspiring, loving, shining being, but they're going through a period right now which is essentially traumatic. Okay, there's a huge disparity. It's literally like an animal that got run over and needs care, and this brings out the very, very best in you, the Cancerian, nurturing, tendering, caring soul type of energy. So it's, dear Cancer, they are very lucky to have you. They're extremely lucky, and I think they know. Maybe they may not be able to express that right now because it's almost overwhelming, it's too much, but deep down they know that you're kind of a really good match for them, and that they are a really good match for you. But it's going to take you, Cancer, in all your greatest integrity to get things sorted out so that they can realize the potential of what's going on here, and how you, Cancer, can take charge of this so that they have a chance, so they don't always have to be like the star of their own show. They can allow themselves to be rescued. They can allow themselves to be nurtured and appreciated for once. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the core here. Oh, wow. This is beautiful. My feeling here with the Empress here at the core of the relationship is that this is really a chance for you to shine, Cancer. It's almost like the more stressful things on, it's almost like, you know what? Bring it on. You know, whatever you said, Terra Illumination? Pretend I'm the Cancerian person now. You know what, Terra Illumination? I don't care whatever you said about all this stuff here. Blah, blah, blah. I don't care about all the stresses, blah, blah, blah. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this when I really come into my elements. You have no idea, Terra Illumination, I'm telling you. And that's what it looks like here. It's just like, as you go deeper and deeper into this, like, there's you, there's the significant other. Oh no, oh no, oh no. And he's like, don't worry, I got this, I got this. Oh, thank God, thank God, thank God. It's just like, these guys really click. Super, 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 super good match for each other. So what happens, it's like a manifestation. By recognizing what's actually happening here, and not belittling the situation. It could be so easy for you, Cancer, to belittle this person and look at them as a fragile, broken, weak, traumatized, messed up, complete mess. But instead, exactly the opposite story is happening here. Something beautiful is being manifested, a beautiful relationship, a succulent relationship that has all the ingredients of bounty, of like a life well lived, like a really good match where you're really good for them, they're really good for you, and it shows in the context of an abundant relationship that is actually manifesting. It's almost like, if this is the crucible, okay, this is what's happening at the core of the crucible. It's a manifestation of something beautiful. The manifestation, it's like the relationship is actually very fertile. It's very, very rich. It's almost like whatever stresses and trauma is going on over here is acting like fertilizer and fuel for you, Cancer, to make something very beautiful, to manifest something very beautiful out of this. And they appreciate this because it feels like, to me, this wouldn't happen for them without you. Let's have a look at the prospects over here. Okay. It does mean being very careful. It also means that maybe it's about time you got what you deserved, dear Cancer. Have to be very discerning. In other words, let's say I got a bit carried away with the reading here. It doesn't mean you can go around gloating on the succulence and the delicious aspects of what's going on in this relationship. It's very, very important to remember that you're dealing with someone who in some ways is very traumatized here. And yes, they do have they've got all these characteristics that make themselves a very good match for you and you for them. But it means you have to be very, very, very careful, because this, in other words, the trauma is ongoing. It's not going to something that's going to be figured out overnight. There's no quick fixes here. To me, it looks like this is almost like a hallmark, a stamp uh, of the way the relationship is. And you know how when some people are traumatized, it's permanent? There's permanent damage, like brain damage, physical damage, whatever it is. It's very important to acknowledge that, and don't go fooling oneself that you can just make everything perfect and turn each other into supermodels, and everything's just wonderful, and everything's smiley, 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 and everyone's flatlining through life as though everything's wonderful all the time. No, 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 not at all. This is understanding that the relationship itself is in some ways very fragile, very delicate, very susceptible to the trauma. In other words, you have to be very careful, Cancer, that you don't try to force any kind of healing here, or try to make the relationship anything more than what it is, or diminish it to be anything less than what it is. It has to be allowed to be exactly what it is, in its full lusciousness, and then be very, very careful. Be extremely careful that there's no, let's say, hidden agendas or manipulations or anything sneaky going on. Everything has to be right out in the open. Like whatever is traumatizing them, it needs to be dealt with very, very carefully. You can't force a quick fix this here or for them. But it does look overall, to me, it looks really good. It just means, I'm thinking, especially towards the end of the month, once the sun comes into Cancer and you start taking charge, please don't think that you can own this or force stuff because if you're just because you want, just because you have the ability to take charge and ownership and make this thing run in a certain way. It is a shared journey, okay? Remember that. It's not just your journey and they are a component. It is a shared journey, and that has to be understood and respected. And that might be a tough lesson, okay? So let's leave it at that. Just be very, very cautious, dear Cancer. Be very careful, because when you're dealing with someone who is deeply stressed, deeply traumatized, they need extra care, extra attention. No quick fixes, okay? Anyway, I'll leave the story like that. I don't want to mess it up by saying anything more. You can reinterpret however you want. I'll put this over here for reference. There you go. Thank you so much. See you again in July, okay? I hope it didn't scare you or trigger any, unwelcome responses, okay? So all the best. Make the best of this, Cancer. I know you can. It's very clear that you will. And they're very lucky to have you. And you're very lucky to have them. You've got this. All right. Bye-bye.